Hello everyone. We will go live in just a few minutes. So if anybody of you who is like slightly before time, I welcome you. This webinar will also be broadcasted to the YouTube, live stream to the YouTube. So you can directly catch it there for the recording. Yeah. I see a few familiar names already. Welcome, I'm just inviting Martin to open his video and audio, and then we'll kind of start. We are about 8 folks here so far. So Martin, if you can hear me, you should be. I've just sent you an invite to on your video and the audio stream. Hi, Martin.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I guess we can hear you. We cannot see you.
No, I'm not sure what's happened there. I'm just going to... there we
go.
go.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Right. Hello. Hi. So
hello.
You are in the UK, right? Where exactly, if I may ask?
Yeah, so I'm based in Derby, which is equidistant between London and Manchester. We're right in the middle of the country.
Yeah. Awesome. So what we'll do is that we'll give like a few minutes so that probably a few more people can join in, and then we'll start. I'll introduce you first, and then I have some questions to ask, and I hope that this is meant to be a very sort of organic type of conversation. We have spoken before, and I thought it'll be a fun thing that some audience also joins us. So I mentioned in the beginning of the talk that this is also being streamed to the YouTube. So this will be available as a feed for the YouTube audience later. Right. So I'm seeing others. Hello. We have about 9 folks so far. So it's funny, right? Like, what I was looking at it, and our audience is from everywhere, right? So it's also a bit complicated that which time suits the best, right? Because no matter how much one tries, there'll be times, any time, some people would find it very unearthly, right? So, this problem has not been solved with technology or AI, I don't know how it will be. So, but yeah,
is it 10 p.m. local time for you?
It is 10 p.m. So 10 p.m. is fine. 10 p.m. is like just about just after the dinner time. So kind of all right. I won't complain. It's a bit hot here. So anyway, like, kind of nights are longer. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that, for a few other folks, it might be even later. So for them, it'll be, the recording will be available. All right. So we'll give it maybe another minute at 10 past 5 exactly. We'll probably resume the conversation. By the way, I will also probably intermittently have few polls, for the audience to kind of answer, if at all, that'll be interesting for us to see.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear from the audience. And I saw that the people on LinkedIn that had registered were from far and wide.
Yes, they were. Just a quick poll. So I'm basically, whoever is present right now, it'll be fun to see, what is the existing familiarity with AI in marketing. Is the poll visible?
It is.
Okay, awesome. We have about what 6 responses. It's fine. I mean, kind of what we were expecting. So, all right, I think we should actually start. What I was basically so first, I would like to introduce Martin. So Martin basically, Martin is a digital strategist, as he mentioned, based out of Derby in the UK. He's like, he deals with content strategy, and also he's very interested so far. I mean, I'm telling with the conversation we have had with this confluence of marketing and AI. So I mean, as a founder in the space, I'm definitely super excited to have a conversation with Martin. Like we already have had conversation. So Martin, do you want to add something to the introduction? Because it was a very vague introduction, I know, and I was kind of highlighting the part wherein you had expressed interest, wherein that you are the one of the evangelists when it comes to marketing AI space, right? That's what you call also yourself. Anything you would like to add here?
Yeah, so I'm a digital strategist based out in the UK, as you've just mentioned. So I'm helping businesses with B2B lead generation, content marketing, and implementation of sales and marketing technology, some of which includes things like CRM, marketing automation, but also increasingly, I'm helping businesses to implement different AI platforms or different AI tech into their business. So yes, I am an AI evangelist because I'm really starting to see how businesses can become more efficient through using it.
Yeah. Okay. So let it be the segue to the first question. Maybe this is like a more of a general chit chat, but let me pose it as a question. So when you so what led you, like what are some of the interesting thing you when you when you kind of talk to the clients or the companies in their adoption of AI in the marketing scheme of things, right? So what are some of the things like can you maybe highlight a bit of a history, like how did you convince the clients, like what exactly were they missing from their marketing paraphernalia?
Yeah, well, I think with marketing AI, because there is it's quite a broad space, and it doesn't take a lot to catch people's interest. I'll give you a good example from yesterday, actually. Yesterday, I was delivering a workshop. There were 4 marketing professionals, all of whom had a good level of experience. They were all doing lots of content production, whether that was for email campaigns, website development, blogs and SEO, that kind of stuff. And I was delivering a workshop that was related to email marketing strategy. And at a part of that workshop, I decided to just it wasn't on the agenda, but I thought I would sneak in a little bit of AI. And I did the most basic demo of AI that I could think of. In fact, I opened up the instruct prompt in LongShot and just did a very simple prompt that was write a sales email promoting a new car launch, and I picked the Kia Niro, put in a few kind of bullet points, and then hit generate. And it creates this prompt. It creates the output, it creates the sales email, perfectly drafted, first time, one hit, bang. Their jaws dropped to the floor. You know, this was as far as I could see the most simple prompt going. But they immediately were, well, the first thing they said was, how do we get this? And for me, that was a real eye-opening moment, because for me, that's a very simple demo of what AI can do. But to people that aren't experienced with content generation AI or any other form of AI, whether it's kind of personalization or any of the other kind of techniques, that can be seen as a huge time saver. In fact, one of the people in the session said, it will take me an hour to write an email, a simple email like that, because I will obsess about every word and overthink it. But what you've done there happened in seconds, and I can then edit it. So in terms of kind of bringing it into clients, one or two simple demos of, hey, are you spending a lot of time doing X task? Because if you are, we can save you a lot of time.
So you are basically suggesting that, it's, there are lots of tasks which a marketer does, which are often repetitive, or, they may not be. So there are sometimes these marketing, there are ideas floating around, which marketers, because of the kind of nature of the work, right? Especially when it comes to content marketing, it gets blocked, or, there's writer's block, or, so which the AI helps, right? So this talk, I mean, I'll also touch upon things which we may do as a product or may not do as a product, but generally speaking about marketing, and specifically content marketing, because this is something both of us do, right? So, when it comes to, when it comes to kind of things which AI does in the marketing world, content generation is one thing, right? There are things like research and optimization, SEO optimization, right? I mean, I sometimes feel that because when it comes to SEO, right? So SEO is nothing but when it comes, the search engine is becoming smarter and smarter to show the relevant content to the audience. And so a marketer also needs to be kind of up their game consistently, so that if there's something valuable, meaningful, they should know, in some sense, they should know what kind of tips and tricks they should kind of apply, so that the content which is actually which should come on the fore as quickly as possible, as effectively as possible. So when it comes to let's go back a couple of years back, right? Maybe before this new content revolution started, so to speak. What kind of things you would say were the most in vogue, kind of things when it comes to marketing in AI? What used to happen? It seems as if lots of time has gone. So what did we kind of what did we notice? What was the in thing 2 years back? Let's say.
From an AI perspective.
Yes. AI and marketing, this confluence perspective.
Yeah. So I've been a HubSpot partner and provider since 2013. So that's kind of the space that I've worked in and around. And I've seen HubSpot develop from being a kind of blogging SEO platform through to being the all-in-one marketing platform that it is today. A few years ago, one of the main drivers of kind of marketing AI was things like personalization, and lead scoring was one of the big things that we were seeing. So you'll see technologies like Drift, with their Drift chatbots and the kind of lead scoring that they've implemented. HubSpot have a similar automated lead scoring system in their platform as well. And that was where I was seeing a lot of real interest from the AI space. But then obviously, the likes of GPT-3 comes on the market, and all of a sudden lots more doors are opened.
Yeah, so that's very interesting. Yeah, because the reason I asked this question was also because different people, especially who are not from the AI world, have different conception of AI, right? So, like as a practitioner in the field, often think like sometimes it's not very obvious that what is AI and what is not, right?
Yeah.
Because people say, oh, this is not AI, this is something, like is Tesla an AI? I mean, people say, oh, it's electric. I mean, what is really powering it? And I believe that in some sense, the job of the technology, like in this case AI, to be so good and so invisible that people don't see it as something kind of alien, right? Maybe in some sense they get used to it, they call it by it a different name, right? So I think this the reason I wanted to ask this question is also because maybe we do not call everything AI, but lots of times things AI is still powering, at different level of maturity. So which brings me to the other question, which is that when you, in your experience, when you meet marketers, and we can focus on content marketers, but feel free to talk about marketing in general also. What does a typical marketer understand by AI today? Is it just like AI writing, or like when you kind of casually sort of talk to a marketer, then what things do they think about when they think AI?
Honestly, at the moment, I think if people think about AI at all, and I don't think they do, but if they do, I think most people's perception is geared towards things like Facebook's ad algorithm that will automatically kind of pull together the right combination of headline, image, and that kind of thing. Right. I think it's more on that kind of machine learning level where, and same with Google AdWords and the various auto recommendations. I think that's where most people's head is if they're thinking about AI at all. But to be honest, I think most marketers that I'm speaking to are not, it's just not on their radar. And that's why I think the work of the likes of the Marketing Artificial Intelligence Institute, based out of Cleveland, I think what they're doing is really powerful because they're trying to educate 1 million marketers in how to use AI by 2030.
True. So, this is, like I think I remember you introduced me to, in some sense, I mean, I was, even as a founder, I was not very familiar with them. Then I checked them out and had spoken to a few of them, folks belonging there, and it's very fascinating. But, feel free to maybe spend a minute or so if you want on what really this Marketing AI Institute does. Maybe this particular institute or any other sort of organization who are trying to bridge this gap, or rather trying to evangelize. So you can start also if you want that with Marketing AI in particular. So what kind of things do you do?
Yeah, so the Marketing AI Institute, I should say that I'm in no way affiliated with them other than just being a consumer of their content and a speaker at their conference in August. I'm going out to Cleveland to speak at their conference. But as an institute, they were founded, I think, 2016 by Paul, who heads it up. He used to run a marketing agency, but he saw the potential that AI was going to have in the marketing space and was very quick to say digital marketers, and bearing in mind his agency was already at the kind of forefront of digital marketing best practice. Right. He saw the disruption that was coming and said, we need to educate the world. We need to get people up to speed with the changes that are down the line. So they've made it their mission to educate and kind of raise awareness amongst marketers about AI and the different ways that AI can be applied in marketing, and also to help people make informed decisions about what AI tech makes sense for their business and their needs. So they do that through, they've got some online courses, they've got an excellent blog, which is very regularly updated. They've got a good online community, they do regular webinars. Obviously, they have the conference that I've mentioned already. So
this is really interesting, and I'll definitely will make sure that we'll kind of write the mention of them, while kind of in the notes or in the video, while we are kind of to the audience who want to watch it later. So for
well, I've got if anybody wants to come to the conference, I've got a discount code that you can use and get yourself a cheap ticket as well.
So yeah, so we'll put you in touch with Martin, or you can also go directly reach out. So that's very interesting, and I hope that so here there are marketers here. There are folks like us, like who build products, AI product for marketers, and then there are bridging the gap in some sense, or rather accelerating the gap. Is our folks like Marketing AI Institute, and even other types of like evangelists like yourself, which are kind of trying, because of course organically it would have also permeated, but then like how to properly do this and hand holding. So I think this is a very important space, which I think folks like yourself and as an organization, Marketing AI Institute occupies. So, therefore, I think which basically helps both of us, users as well as producer of such products or, technologies. Now, but I'm sure that you would have also had, encountered a fair share of skepticism, like, oh, this AI can't do this or some. So any pointers there, or maybe any examples you'd like to sort of highlight?
Yeah. So skepticism. Yeah, good word for it. I've given a couple of talks now on AI, very kind of introductory talks, just for beginners, just explaining some of the basic tools that are out there and the different applications for AI. And at all of these talks, one of the questions in the Q&A after the session will always relate to and these are not unwarranted, so I'm not mocking or I'm not belittling the questions, but the same questions recurring come up. One is about replacing jobs and taking jobs away from humans, which is actually the one that I think is probably the weakest issue raised. I don't think AI is going to just eradicate jobs.
So why do you think so? I mean, if I can maybe press you there a bit, like, see, I mean, I have my own version of answer, but I would kind of restrain myself, because one can see that, oh, what, like, Ankur, you have built a product in the space, so you would rather, like, of course, promote it, right? But I mean, see, before building, we of course we are also I was not born a builder of AI products, right? So I mean, like, lots of my friends are marketers and, who are from the marketing world. So what is your version of this? Like, why do you think, is the fear unwarranted, or is there some merit to it, and is it disproportionate?
I think it's disproportionate, and I think what it's going to do, like we see time and time again throughout history, is it's going to displace jobs. It's going to change the nature of jobs. Photoshop didn't wipe out a whole bunch of jobs. It gave users new tools to do jobs and tasks that were being done previously. And this is the same thing. We're still going to need. In fact, one of the things that I think is really important with AI, particularly where nearly all AI is at the moment, is we still have this kind of human in the loop requirement. We need humans to be involved, whether it's content generation or kind of personalization and ad recommendations. There should always be someone there keeping an eye on it in some way. We don't just want to let the machines kind of go running off because they make mistakes. So that would be why I think that's kind of probably the most unfounded. Technology has always made things faster, quicker. We can produce more. The tractor and the kind of diesel engine plow and what have you didn't get rid of the need for farmers. It just reduced the amount of people in that industry, and people found jobs elsewhere because that's what happens. So I think it'll be displacement.
So I mean, that's a great word there, displacement. And I also feel that so you are from UK, right? So I mean, from what I have learned from the street is that back in the ages when the steam engine came out, right? Courtesy thanks to James Watt, and there was this Luddite movement, right? And people would be kind of opposing this, and so like, it's not like people. So of course there are temporary setbacks and replacements and displacements, as you put it, right? But today is, like there are more people alive and doing jobs. Of course, there are other problems, in every industry and in the world in general. But if you see the number of employed people today, right, and having a life which is sort of, which is probably like much better than maybe what was then, back in the day. So it's exponentially larger, right? So I think so technology is for humans by humans. So therefore, it's like sometimes technology do displace stuff, but then other jobs are created. Maybe there will be, for example, there is a whole bunch of job of video editing tool experts, right? Now, but which is only possible when a video editing was possible. And then and there are different types of markets, like the whole digital marketing as a field, even, right? Like people who have this job titles, right? Their job would not have existed like before the advent of internet, right? So I mean, and not just the advent
Exactly.
of internet, right? So
That's a great example. Like I've been in this industry like 10, 15 years now. When I was at school, which was 20 years ago, the job that I have today didn't exist. No one was saying, "Oh, you should take that career path and do social media marketing." Even wasn't a concept.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I think we're going to see the similar shifts with AI and what have you as well. So that's why I think it's kind of largely unfounded, because we've seen big technological shifts and it hasn't eradicated all jobs.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's going to empower folks, right? I mean, as I said, like I'm not, I'm not like nobody can say that there will be no setbacks temporarily. Maybe if there is a huge content team, right, and you are the one working there for 5 years, maybe there might be things that you should probably it's the time now you should kind of upskill yourself, right? So that definitely I would say, like we as even technologists have upskill ourselves all the time, and so every professional work they're sought. So I think this is pretty much the same thing. Now, I think we have a question now, and let's see if can you speak to marrying digital marketing skills with AI? Specifically, is there a way to use AI LongShot to do market research, finding customer frustration point? Right. So I think this question is kind of about also our product and to some extent in general about AI. So let me take a shot at it, and maybe if you want to add on to something. So, right. So I think like in this context, Jermaine, I think I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. So, uh, so yes, to some extent, all these things can be done by AI products, specifically our own product. Uh, uh, so like in this very context, it depends also. Like for example, finding customer avatars. Now, with finding customer avatar is in itself a very vague thing. So what any tool or technology, specifically in this space, in this stage, it'll be better if you can kind of narrow down the question. Like what do you mean? Like for example, um, do you mean that you want to know what kind of traits customer has by entering their profiles? This might be one way to look at it, right? So in if that is what your question is, I think to some extent this is not what we do. Longshot is mostly Longshot is basically focused on researching, generating, and optimizing content. I would say that there are other tools which we can probably send out over an email or something, but which would help you in discovering customer sort of traits, like given some kind of pointers, right? So this is where you should look at. So I think, which brings me to the point that there is no one AI really. These are all like different tools, and I think it's also very deliberately so, because I think if as a product or as a tool or as a single piece of technology, one tries to solve everything, then it will become vague. I mean, think of it as a human counterpart. Even in the marketing world, that you will find performance marketer, content marketers, and then there'll be like some people are only the strategy, others would be purely writing, and then there will be other who are SEO expert, technical SEO experts, other types of SEO. So there's a whole gamut of stuff, right? So, and I'm probably skipping a lot of other things. So, can one person do everything? Yes, but then may not be a good job, right? So I think similarly, like the AI in some sense is the best way to use AI specifically. And I'm kind of restraining myself to talk about general AI because that'll be kind of that's pretty much beyond the scope of the conversation. And I'm talking about marketing and AI specifically. So I think one way to understand AI today is that what task I need to do. Does it require intelligence? And if it is a specific task, that okay, content research, yes, then there are really good tools which can do it. You can try the tool, and we can talk about specific tools later on. So that would be my kind of roundabout, but hopefully to some extent, hopefully satisfactory to your answer. Martin, would you like to add something to it? If you believe that, is there something I should, append to it?
I think that about summarizes it. With AI, we don't have an artificial general intelligence. We have AIs that are trained on specific tasks that do specific tasks very well, and they go kind of deep but narrow in what they can do. So yeah, I think you could go deep into the conversation about what specific tool for what function, but yeah, I think you covered it.
And I think this is actually also, the other day I was talking to people that, this is where we also, it's important to have education, consistent education in the terms that what is actually possibility, what kind of possibility does exist. Like, I mean, to some extent, Martin also already touched upon Marketing AI Institute. I think, German, you should touch upon it. Let me actually do it right away. I'll just, just paste the link of Marketing AI Institute so that people can just kind of go if they are interested here just right now. Yep, this is the correct one, I believe. Right? So I've just posted in my push Q&A link, and I think these kind of things will probably help you discover the possibilities. And then Google is a friend, right? So you can just Google search, and we actually try hard to be so it's like more than you, we are eager to find you, like if you need us, right? Or in some sense, most of the products out there. So just type in the Google, and we hope to find a good product. Right. So yeah, we were talking about the, in some sense, the kind of skepticism with the content marketing word, and you mentioned about the job. So that is like a kind of at one end of the spectrum. But when it comes to people who are who are not as skeptical as that, they do not fear a job loss per se, but they still think that, okay, AI is good for this in marketing, but not for that. So what is that? I mean, today, what is that?
What is it actually not good for, or what is the perception?
What is the perception? I mean, like it's up to you. I would say that,
yeah, what is the perception? I think there is a perception until people get their hands on it. I think there's a perception that AI can't write good copy.
Okay.
Amongst people that are not using AI copywriters, for one. But again, I think for me, the kind of underlying point for most of this is that marketers just they don't know. they don't know enough about what it can or can't do for them to have an opinion about. I mean, okay, so let's take a topic that is very hot in the AI space at the moment: text to image generation.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
OpenAI DALL-E or Google's Imagen. I'm not sure how you say it. If you were to speak to any marketer and say, could you come up with the stock image photo for a blog post that features, what was it, an astronaut riding a unicorn through the galaxy? They'd say, yeah, I can do that. I just need to get my graphic designer / illustrator to work on it for a few days, and then I'll get it back to you. You show them DALL-E or you show them Imagen, and they go, wow, no way. So the AI is still having all of these moments where it's just blowing people away. Even on a kind of more mundane basis, there was an example with the HubSpot's lead scoring, automated lead scoring that I mentioned earlier. And there was a HubSpot partner agency who had been doing manual lead scoring for several years. And they have a case study on their website where they said, we put our lead scoring to the test, which we'd been doing and using quite happily for a number of years. We put it to the test against the HubSpot automated lead scoring, thinking that it couldn't be as good as ours. And lo and behold, the results were that HubSpot's automated lead scoring was better. And they said, hands up, this is a very solid product, and it works really well. It does what it says on the tin. So I think there are moments for people to just be surprised by AI all the time. And actually, I just want to go back to something you mentioned earlier. There is a lack of appreciation amongst society at large about just how much AI is involved day to day. Everything from your voice assistants.
Absolutely.
To your look at Google at the moment. Anyone that uses Gmail has the autocomplete option where it starts giving you the suggested next words in your sentence. And you can just hit tab and kind of move along. And it's still driven through AI and machine learning, and it's functionality that we're all very used to. Tools like Grammarly have now moved from just being these premium third-party services to now being included, or services very similar are now being bundled in with Microsoft Office. So you're right, AI and machine learning tools are just seeping into our everyday lives without people being aware of it.
So I mean, you are very, like, how should I say, you are a techno optimist, if I can call you that. And of course I myself too, but let me also share a few of the things which we believe, I believe as AI practitioner are some, in terms of, in context of marketing, there are still some roads to be crossed. So the first being the question, like just from the what Jermaine asked, right? So like AI is not very good at deciphering a vague statement or a very generic statement. Like, let's say if I say, oh, is there a tool which will, which will research the content and then post it to the relevant audience and think for a bit and then maybe, delete it. I mean, so if you give a very human-like thing, maybe if you tell the same thing to your intern, right? They may not do a great job, or they may do a slow job, but they will at least understand what you're saying. Now, AI is today is not super good at deciphering vague or general statements, right? So we're stitching a lot of things, which is a more of a which is basically kind of not clear that what exactly needs to be done, right? I mean, just kind of taking cue from the question you asked, that frustration, pain point, desires, finding customer avatars. So you have to translate it to AI more clearly before it can actually serve it to you. So that remains a pain. I believe that's not going to be a pain forever, but for now it does remain a pain. The second thing, I also believe that so marketing is like I think AI also has this tendency, specifically if you're talking about content marketing. I think in some languages, like in languages like English, German, and some European languages, Spanish, and to some extent Hindi also, the AI is pretty good. But when it comes to some other languages, right, which humans speak in like thousands of languages, right? I mean, like I'm from India, so like everybody speaks like 3 languages, right? So the point is that there are lots of other types of content where AI is not very good, and it's because that it has not seen the data where it can train ourselves, right, itself. So that also is a problem, solvable problem, but today it's a bit less solved. So I think these are the couple of things which AI has to improve, and I mean, thanks to AI research in the world, like people are kind of going that way. So I hope this is not insurmountable, but
I think at the same, alongside that as well, just as a general point about AI, we have to be very careful. I am a techno optimist, but I caution that with the same fears and concerns that lots of people have about AI, specifically around things like bias in the training data.
Yeah, that's true.
This is something that
well put.
As a white Western man, that can be quite easy to ignore. But this exists in the data, and we do need to be very mindful of it. I actually respect what Meta have done with their, is it the OPT 175 language model? So they've done their own GPT-3 alternative, and that they're releasing that to academics so that it gets proper scrutiny and people can see the training data and kind of find those biases that exist within it and hopefully try to fix the model before it kind of makes it out into the mainstream.
That's true. Yeah. So very well put. And I think, yeah, that the kind of, so basically it's the same bias which humans also have, which AI is kind of copied or maybe in some sense, accelerated, actionated, right? So enhanced. So I would say that those remains to be a problem. Lots of times, in coming to more sort of more problems which are like not as society threatening, but like in some sense or they might be also, like for example, we have also spoken a lot about content generation, which is also a subset of AI, because we like this talk because of the nature of the product, it focuses more there. Product like GPT, the one of the issue is that there's a danger that this might lead to a flurry of synthetic or fake content, right? So internet might be flooded with like completely factually incorrect and sort of completely fabricated content. That's true. So now the thing is, it in some extent it's fine, like if you're writing a story, right? It's completely all right if it's synthetic or whatever, right? Like, even in terms of your creative art. But of course, if you're writing a piece of informative article which gets facts wrong, or which also which is all deceptive to begin with, this is a problem. And like search engines like Google and others are up to the challenge. I mean, they are grading themselves to, so I kind of to catch these things. So I think there will be a, like in a very in that sense, the cat and mouse game will keep on happening. Like the technology exists, it's amazing, right? But it can also be leveraged for deception, for fakery. So that is also a real danger. In some sense, it's also very like it might be a pure case of accidental or mishandling the technology, because a content marketer can mistakenly produce content which is kind of untrue, or which is in some sense not representative of the world. That can happen apart from the biases, that is. So yeah, so we'll see keep on happening. And uh, I think but that should not be seen as the drawback of the whole technology. It's more of a drawback of like how to use it properly. Awesome. I think I'll also kind of, anybody in the audience, if you want, you can ask other questions. Be happy to kind of, take it up. Let's see. Let's wait for any curious souls here.
So while we're waiting for any questions to come in, I'm curious, what are you most excited about in the AI space over the next year or two?
So yeah, so what I'm most excited about is something you already touched upon, is that when it comes to AI in images and videos, like today it can create a lot of so it's pretty powerful, things like DALL-E and Imagen, but there will be a sort of phase wherein it's very good for creative type of images. We'll see more of these, and first of all, I'm very excited to see what happens when it comes creation of videos, not just images. And second thing I want to see is that, is it also how much of it is going to let's say if I want to create an image of how should I put it, some like let's say there is a in maybe education sector, there is an image which is kind of explaining a concept very well. Like DALL-E is very imaginative, so can it maybe create this image which like proverbially image capturing a lot of information in 1,000 words, right? Can it do that? It's not just good looking or very psychedelic inducing, but it is also like really what informative images for, right? So that is something I'm personally curious to see. I'm also interested to see the other side of it, like for example, it's a real danger, when it comes to the advent of technology, as we were just speaking. So there will be a counter AI which should be able to catch these things, right? Catch these, like, tell what the fake image apart from the real one. So I mean, to some extent, like, one of, like, my previous background has also been some technologies similar to this. So where, there can be a detection of factually incorrect or synthetic or fabricated content, right? So that is something I'm excited to see. Both are AI, right? Like, one is used for creation, other is for kind of, keeping things in control, in check, or at least figuring out, some one from the other. So these are the two directions. Yeah, in the multimedia space, in I would say more attuned to what we are doing right now. I would say that I'm more interested to see that how I can know much more in depth about the world. So today, when it comes to content AI, it's really good. In some sense, general purpose sense, it's really good. But if you want to write a research article using it, or even a news article using it, right, there it falters because it is not trained like every day, right? So we want to we want to see how can, the community as a whole can overcome that problem, that it can write like literally pretty much everything, right? So this is where my kind of excitement lies. I hope it yeah.
I think the video generation is a really interesting one. This week, there was a paper published, I think it was coming out of China, with a text to video generation, and it was able to create, I think it was a 4-second GIF.
Oh yeah, I did read the news. I was not fully, so I'm not fully aware of it. But see, these kind of things keep on happening, and I would say that like, one of the things is that standard technology do exist. Like, even today, like, when we talk about content generation, there are other technologies apart from the famous GPT-3 which exist. But then sometimes the usability is a problem, which also brings me to the point that, we will also see a more of the democratization of this. So today, content generation in some sense partly democratized, but we'll see more of it. Like, maybe, it can be run on smaller servers, can be made very lightweight, cheaper, and more available. So I similarly, even.
Yeah, we're already seeing that to an extent, aren't we? The likes of Cohere, AI21, with their Jurassic model, GBTJ, and actually going back to the one you were talking about earlier, the issue of the language models. Is it Aleph have got some large language models in French, German, Spanish, Portuguese coming as well.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, we're seeing competition in the sector, which is great. It's great for consumers, it's great for developers. Because at the moment, I've defaulted to saying GPT-3 several times throughout this conversation, because that's the one that everybody's building on and what have you. But we are seeing these alternative models come to the fore. And you're right, they're not as user friendly.
I mean, so first of all, so that makes a lot of sense. And first of all, to be honest, that, it's not like GPT-3 is the more famous one, but then there are other really good. I mean, even as a product, LongShot, we do not just use GPT-3, we use many others. And I think that way our democratization is there. I was kind of more hinting on that, even we can, like, it's still controlled by OpenAI, right? So what if it can be kind of installed on lightweight servers and run from anywhere? Even GPT-J does exist, but, like, for example, it's still, like, still relatively speaking compute heavy. So, like, there's a lot of research going on that front. Just to kind of pull back from more technical conversation to more usability, sort of like usage style conversation. So I would say that I hope that marketers would see more of much cheaper, faster availability of content, tips, ideas generation at their fingertips. I hope. So so I think there are a couple of sorry, Martin, you're saying something because I was just hinting at a couple of questions.
No, I think it's a really strong point, and actually, this is an opportunity for developers and products such as LongShot. Actually, in some respects, the AI content generation space is a bit like I was describing it to someone the other day, like automotive racing. And you have Formula One, where the teams can develop the car however they like. Everything is unique, and they get to control all of it. Then you've got Formula 2, which is what's known as a spec series, where the teams get given the same engine and the same chassis, and they get to then build everything around that themselves. But they all have the same engine, the same chassis. And I think actually one of the things that we're seeing with software developers and products at the moment using the same engine, let's say GPT-3 or any other, is who's making a difference, who's going to win that race, comes down to the people that make it user friendly, that make it easy for someone to just fire up you know, the tool and say, what task am I doing today? And whether it's, you know, not to just sit here and plug LongShot, but one of the reasons I love LongShot is it's got that balance between making long form copywriting from the research through to having a piece of content ready. It makes that easy, but also your short form tool set makes my life easy in other ways, whether it's the writing the meta description, whether it's a rephraser, whether it's just the instruct prompt, which is fantastic. It's kind of like God mode, isn't it, for for copywriting?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If I think of the people that I'm working with, they need user friendly.
Absolutely. So you very well put here. I mean, like maybe lots of them use similar or a set of engines, but then what you do with it, right? Like, I mean, we, for example, also train our layer of AI over it to make it even better. You know, things like that. Right? So I think that is going to make a difference. I see all of us. See, I mean, in some sense. So I mean, I'll actually take Aaron's question and then I'll kind of go to other questions just to highlight this point. See, so Aaron said that phrase.io is pretty easy as well. Yes. So praise is a competition in some sense, but I would, and like there are overlapping features. It does few things good. We do few other things good. Today we regard all of us as, you know, kind of in some sense sort of, you know, it's like more than competition. It's not like, so we both can exist, right? Like there are people who like phrase and there are people who like us, and you know, so it's like we both or others also, maybe a few other players. I hope other founders also see this as more of a to some extent we are competing, but to also a large extent we are also co-developing, right? Or kind of co-steering the field together, because we are making a noise and we are making a buzz. We are kind of in some sense soft educating the audience, and they are using us, and they are keeping us on toes. If let's say phrase was not there, if only LongShot was available, right, we would have gone maybe complacent, right? And so, which is not the case today, right? So therefore, I think I welcome all these players like Phrase and others, and I hope that I was also able to answer the question. So yes, I think this was a more of a comment, but yes, Phrase is also good. Now, when it comes to other question, like, you know, Jude asked, is LongShot fully optimized for copywriting? This is a LongShot specific question. Yes, I think, I mean, what I tell whoever is interested in product, like try for yourself. You can just go to the website, just, you know, there's a free trial, whatever, right? So you just try yourself, and because you know, like as a product founder, it's like you're asking a mom that is your child, you know, so obviously, of course, you know, but it's up to you to decide that, you know, is it. So you know, so I think that would be my kind of maybe, you know, not a full answer. Manish asks, there is a lot of content available on the internet, but most of them are not relevant to user skill. How I can tackle this? So how I can help disassemble scrape content? That's a great question. What do you think, Martin? What is your experience been? How AI can help?
So say that again, just to repeat the question.
So Manish asked that, you know, there is a lot of content available on the internet, but most of them may not be relevant to the user's query. And how can AI help here? I think he's asking for content research part.
Yeah. So this goes back to the kind of NLP AI stuff and really thinking about user intent. Something that actually I'm very appreciative that you showed me in LongShot recently with the semantic SEO feature, which I completely missed. But for me, that's the thing. And there's a few interesting players in this space at the moment. I think Market Muse do a good job with this, really helping you understand intent of user queries. And that's what you need to find an AI tool that, if you've already got a lot of content that isn't ranking, I would say find a tool that will analyze that for you. And I think actually I haven't tried to do this in LongShot yet, actually, but you could take an article that already exists, put it in LongShot, run the semantic SEO tool on that, I would assume that this would work.
Yeah. So this you just to kind of so happy to also says initially there's a little problem because when people used to copy the article, the formatting used to kind of jumble up, but we just fixed it like this very week. So people already have started trying it. That paste their existing content. We are also introducing functionality of actually uploading the content. So where you can work on the piece and all. So just so I think this was a session also probably given by you and few others. So we were all very visible of it. Yeah. So I think that way you mentioned Market News. Yeah. So Market News is one of the big leaders when it comes to creating content briefs. But yeah, it's a problem wherein you want. So I think Manish's question is about there's a lot of information out there. Of course, I can search for it, but what is going to be relevant for me and how do I use it, right? So that's a problem which LongShot to some extent tries to answer. It tries to answer not entirely this because our ultimate goal is to use this to actually create content and then optimize. But then the idea here is that how like there exist tools and like to some extent us which can do it. So it is definitely possible. It also depends on how do you want to use it. So for example, you can also, as Martin was saying, that uh, like let's say it's not just about the research. It's about like you have written a great content piece. How do you know that it is going to be helpful to use it, right? So you can use like we have come up with a signal called semantic SEO score where you can check whether your content is answering users' question or not in your topic. That is right. How much it is answering? Is there something missing? You can even leverage the already existing answer. Maybe use it in different way to enrich your content. So that way, it's like probably this is a two-part question where how do I make sense of content during my content research, and then if I prepared a content, how do I know that this is actually relevant, right? I think Martin, you were probably touching about this latter part wherein you were when you mentioned that semantic issue.
Yep.
So okay. Aaron says I don't trust Market News. They use a lot of trust from because they lost a lot. Oh, okay. So this it's so Market News, like I'm not a customer of Market News. I know them because they are in the same space. But so this is one of those things, right? Maybe Market News is not doing a good job for you, right? And this will keep them on top, right? This comment, and maybe they'll improve, and maybe something we are missing, and then we will improve. So I think I see it more of a kind of in some sense competition in a good way, competitive pressure, which actually will hopefully improve the whole marketing game. Okay, I see. This is more of a pricing and contractual question. So, right. So that's probably
what the topic is for that one.
Yeah. All right. So I think we are about time, and I think it was a really interesting conversation. It was not very structured, but I at least personally did not want it to be very structured because the more I think it's more fun to talk casually, and we have spoken before. I thought why don't we involve audience, and this will also be posted we'll email it and we'll also post in the channels. So hopefully more customers, more users, more audience, more anybody who's kind of trying to get understand marketing meets AI may get some benefit out of it. So I would like to thank you, Martin, for taking out your time, and yeah, it was very informative personally also for me, kind of refreshing things we believe we are doing, and then it kind of reinforces our vision also. So yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thanks everyone who attended there.
Keep doing the good work. Sorry, I'm talking over you now.
No, it's fine. It's completely all right. All right then, ciao.